All right, guys, thank you for joining me yet again. Appreciate it as always. Again, Friday night, you guys could be doing a million things, but instead, you guys are here listening to me squabble, cry, whine, you name it, on the live stream. So I do appreciate it. Thank you. And Prep to Adapt, Joe, thank you for the 5x5. Dobie, Akko, what's going on? Tina, let's go. Cowboy, Dumbass, Alco Prepper, Groundhog, Renee, Maria, Base, Patty, thank you for the 5x5. Cult, WTC, Raccoon Eyes, Pop Tart, Tristan, what's going on? Crow, F you all, Caribbean House, Dr. D, Kathy, Water Tiger, Drone, thank you for 5x5. Eyes Wide, Feel Free, Steven, is that Radar? Nope, that's not Radar, excuse me. Grit and Grace, Rhonda, thank you for the 5x5. Raven, Dr. D again, Randy, Prepper, Revelator, thank you for the 5x5. Johnny D, Diddle equals molested. Yes, that's what it means. And then Mackenzie, sounding great. Thank you, guys. Gray Man, thank you, appreciate it. All right. So let's get this out of the way right now. Sorry. All right, so it's the only fucking part in the city where you hear people racing around with their fucking cars like that. So let's get into it. This is probably going to be about 15 minutes long. I'm not going to do anything longer than that. I was supposed to talk about a deadly disease spreading fast in New York State. The cases are up 1,500%. It's the whooping cough. Right now it's skyrocketing here in New York State. And they are saying that, I think a couple of people passed away from it, and they are saying that they're concerned about it. That's here, again, in New York State. I haven't heard it running rampant anywhere else. But I just wanted to mention that. I was supposed to talk about it on the Angry Truth Prepper channel, but I didn't. All right, guys, so now, the Blue Orion. Oh, God, here I go again. The Blue Origin. I keep calling it Blue Orion. I'm not sure why, but Be Gay, thank you for the 5x5. AJ, Chris, Visit, another friend, thank you for the 5x5, guys. Appreciate it. So there's more evidence pointing to the fact that they didn't go to the moon. My God, they didn't go to space. Here's the check marks, if you will, on the reasons why they didn't go. First of all, if you look at their shuttle when it landed, it looked like there were no scorch marks as it re-entered into Earth. Right? There was not even any stress or what you call it marks on it from just making its way down through the air. There was supposed to be some sign of stress, and there wasn't any. There wasn't any dirt. There wasn't any kind of markings on that craft when it came back down. That was number one. Number two, no emergency life support, no helmet, no kind of suit to get in case their air supply or something became compromised. Normally, when they launch and they come back in, astronauts get into a suit just in case something crazy happens, and they can go with life support in their suit. So they had no life support in there if something would have went wrong. Then a lot of people argue that the windows are too wide. They were too big of a window. Now with technology today and certain, I guess, windows or polymers or whatever it is, they can be strengthened, but they said because of the windows being too wide, the windows wouldn't be able to handle the pressure. And so a lot of people are pointing to the fact that they didn't go in because the windows are too big. Up in space because the windows are too big. No helmets. Big red flag. Not one helmet. They landed hard, but that landing looked sort of fake. But even if that was a real landing, they landed as hard as they did, and not one person had a helmet on. You're rattling and you're getting jolted around when you're going up and coming down, and no one had a helmet on. So that was a point somebody else made. They brought that up. I said this before, I'll say it again. This is an insult to every astronaut that has gone up before them and astronauts who couldn't make it. Astronauts go through everything under the sun to get a seat on a rocket ship. And a lot of them don't make it. Now, this is just a coincidence, but whatever. The rocket looked like a dildo. What is that? Why did it look like an actual dildo? Like, what was the point of making it? And then you put women in it on top of that, on something that was just dumb. That was poor designing. Let's make this thing look like a dildo and put women in it. And when they pop out of it, they look like semen. Anyway, not the point. That was a little over the top. So here is the biggest tell that they didn't go to space. Or rather, there should have been signs that they were in space if they would have felt discomfort in their face and or bodies due to the pressure change in the body and their implants. Yes, Grant, that's the bad granny. That was the other thing. That door came open too early, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But we're going to talk about the implants in these women. Some of these women had implants. Jeff Bezos' wife has implants, and Katy Perry has implants. And they felt no discomfort when they went up into space. No discomfort at all. And so there is a little bit more of a red flag, because any kind of objects in the body, they should have felt some discomfort. If not, the implants should have exploded. Now, according to Google, and this is Google itself, while no human studies have directly tested cosmetic enhancement in space, there are concerns about breast implants and other fillers potentially being uncomfortable or even posing a risk in space due to the lack of atmospheric pressure. Specifically, the vacuum of space could cause the buildup of gas in the implants, leading to pressure or tightness. However, some experts suggest that fillers, which integrate into tissue over time, might not significantly affect at short-term space travel, but they're not sure. But the implants would. Breast implants, if any of them have butt implants, that would. So now, everybody knew the first three women, Katy Perry, Jeff Bezos' wife, whatever her name is, and Gayle King, right? Those are the first three everybody remembers. The other ones are Aisha Bao, Amanda Nguyen, and Carrie-Anne Flynn. Now, Amanda Nguyen was a bioastronautic research scientist. Aisha Bao is a former NASA rocket scientist, entrepreneur, and global STEM advocate. She's the CEO of STEM Board. The Asian chick, you have to have an Asian on board just in case they got to crunch some numbers and do something mathematic or have a martial art fight in space. You always have to have an Asian person on it. She is a bioastronautics research scientist. She graduated from Harvard and conducted research at Harvard Center for Astrophysics, MIT, NASA, and the International Institute of Astronautical Science. Am I saying that right? Astronautical Science, yes. She was recognized as a Time Woman of the Year in 2022. Good for her, an advocate for sexual violence survivors. Today, she became the first Vietnamese-born woman to travel to space. Again, not really space. Nguyen is pronounced Win. It's Nguyen. The N is pronounced. I'm 1,000% sure on that one because I've heard the name before pronounced that way. Anyway, doesn't matter. And then Carrie-Anne Flynn is a producer for films, including This Changes Everything, which explores the history of women in Hollywood. And Lily, a trip, whatever, doesn't matter. Fucking another knucklehead in space that doesn't need to be in space. So those are the three other women who are in space that nobody really talks about. The crew designation is NS-31. Made their mark by promoting education and outreach in science. Are they fucking kidding me? The other three members of NS-31 made their mark by promoting education and outreach in science. That's probably why they weren't amused when they were walking next to the other morons. Not the point. The point, guys, is that there's less evidence that they were actually in space. Right? No helmets, no marking on the pods whatsoever. A landing that was so fucking hard, somebody should have got their shit rocked while they were inside, but they didn't. No life support, too big of a windows. The videos of them floating inside the cab came out a day or two later, as opposed to it's supposed to be live when they went up, but it wasn't. I personally believe they used an AI software that live edits. Like if it becomes available, we could test it out on this channel. But it's a live edit. A lot of people saying fake. Listen, my son has been sending me videos after video. He is like completely immersed by this stuff. He's getting a kick out of this shit like no other kid has. You know? And he sorry. And he's like all in on this right now. I've never seen a kid like so fucking immersed in this shit. It's a testing. Gray Man, yes, if they're using that AI editing app, yeah, absolutely. So they can do that with anything. That's the problem. That's a big problem if they can do that. I mean, that's a ginormous problem, and they would have to outlaw it. They would have to outlaw that. There'd be no use for it. Visit said, I can't believe I wasted my time watching it live. I didn't watch it live. I saw it in the news. I saw some clippings on it. I opened my, I looked it up on Twitter so I can do the video on it, and I'm just like, man, this is stupid. This is the dumbest thing. And okay, let's just, for argument's sake, let's just say they went to space. Okay. Why? What was them going in space proving? Was it solving world peace? Were they going to fucking contact aliens? Were they finding minerals on another planet? They did none of that. They went up there, they screamed and yelled, they did some backflips. Some chick whipped out a flower for her daughter. My daughter Lily, or whatever the fuck her daughter's name is. Katy Perry. Yeah, Gayle King, who's just like, she's just annoying to look at. You know, she's just like, every time you see her, like, oh, here comes Debbie Downer, Gayle King. Right? And then the other three chicks who were like, you know, they looked like they weren't amused being with these idiots. Yeah, and even my son's saying the pressures cannot stand with those big ass windows. That's why even in all ships ever made, the windows are really fucking small. And they had like, it was almost like floor to ceiling windows they had in that fucking pod. It's crazy. Yeah, it was the most annoying thing. And then supposedly there was audio when they were landing. They were screaming and shit as it came back down. Like that's a little believable because it came down pretty fucking fast. It might even fall. It felt like they were falling out of the sky at some point. Then the chutes deployed and then it caught it. And then when the chute deployed, the jerking motion on that itself rocked somebody's head. Had to have. Again, no helmet. The rattling around going up. The chute deploying, which jerks you, and probably someone had to whip their head back. And then when it landed, everybody bounced in their seat, even though they were buckled in. There's still a jolt, and your head's still moving around. No helmet. It was just the worst thing. And then the icing on the cake. Jeff Bezos coming to open up the door, and before he even gets there, one of the ladies inside opens the door. Cracks it open, and the lady goes, no. And they close the door. Then Jeff Bezos comes with his fucking, which looks like a tire iron, comes over with a tire iron and puts it in a thing, and that like I said in the video, that has pressure on it. To release it, you got to put your back into it, and Jeff Bezos doesn't have a back or spine, so he couldn't have twisted. But he went like clink, and then the thing just swung open. Get the fuck out of here. We ain't that stupid, people. We are not that stupid. But unfortunately, a lot of Americans are, because a lot of Americans believe that bullshit. A lot of Americans are like, look, they went to space, Mom. You know what, son? You're retarded. You should go back to school. Because only retards say dumb shit like that. He rescued him. Yeah, apparently he rescued him. Imagine, like, he came in and then he fell. You know, people will trying to make a big deal out of that. But I'm like, who cares, man? It was a dumb stunt. It served no purpose. More people are talking about, now they're talking about making space travel a tourism. Like, doing that kind of shit. Putting people in a rocket, shooting you into space, having you flip around 8 times, getting back in your seat, and coming back down. No, thank you. The first group of people that die doing that shit, they're going to outlaw that shit. There's no reason for it to be a tourist attraction. Not in space anyway. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It was just so annoying. You know, listening to them scream when they were coming down, listening to them go up, looking at their faces when they got on, they came off. You know, again, nothing suggesting they took no precautions in getting on the shuttle. They just all sat in there like they were sitting in a fucking car. I was like, what is going on? Like, I would have been like, like, yeah, get some. Like, but they're just like sauntering over, and then Gail King sits on a chair and they strap her in. I'm like, I'd have been shaking like a leaf or cursing up a storm, one of the two. But I would not have been acting like I've done this shit before. And that's that's the vibe Gail gave off. Wish the aliens would have done it. That would have been cool, right? The fucking rocket ship took off. Alien grabs them as they take off and just go. Take those bitches with you. They wouldn't have lasted long. Those chicks would have started complaining. They would have came right back with the spaceship and dropped them off. We can't handle this shit, and then take back off again. A $200,000 tour. Is that the price tag on that? Because I'll never make that. I always wanted to go to space. I always wanted to go. It's one of my things, like in space. Become an astronaut and float around and do the moonwalk or some shit, That was my fucking thing. That'll never happen. I mean, if I could take a trip to space, I absolutely would. But, yeah, man. All fake as hell. I have no respect for none of them for being a part of it. Yeah, I guess. Crypto crazy. I mean, I didn't have any respect for them to begin with. So, it wasn't a far-fetched thing. No, Steve, they didn't go to space. They went into a part in space that was recognized by the international community as space, but they weren't in outer space. They were just in space, like inner space and some shit. It's like a level that before they get into space. That is why NASA doesn't want to give them the recognition of astronaut. Or maybe it wasn't NASA. Maybe it was another international space community or some shit. But they don't want to give them the title astronaut because they didn't deserve it. Plus, they didn't go through the training. Again, that's like you fighting a fire in your home and then calling yourself a firefighter because you fought one fire. Or you put out a campfire. You're like, now I'm big shit. I fought a fire before. That would be like me putting out a campfire and then saying, oh, I'm a wildland firefighter. It doesn't work that way. Like not even close. Just go to Kingston, PA. Yeah, no. Annette is like, how many homeless vets would that have fed and housed? A lot, but that's his money. That's his private money. He could do what the fuck he want to do with it. If that was government money, you can absolutely use that argument. But you cannot use that argument on a billionaire. He wants to spend that on sending whores in space in a whore's uniform. By all fucking means, it's his fucking money. He does what he wants to do with it. You are not entitled to do anything kind with your money. You're not. I will do anything and everything with my money to help the homeless and people in trouble and shit like that. But I will not sit there and tell a man what he can and can't spend on his money. I'm out on that shit. They should have taken, if they would have taken Rosie O'Donnell, that ship wouldn't have got off the ground. It would have just did a burnout right there on the platform and then exploded. Like a lot of people will say, oh, I was hoping it exploded. There was a part of me that was thinking that. I'm like, that would be interesting if it did. I wasn't hoping for it, but I wasn't going to feel bad if it did either. I would have just been like, shit, man, such is life. But they didn't because they faked it. That's why. And then people are like, well, they were watching them from a distance. Yeah, the landing zone is a fairly large landing zone. They don't have like a precise point where they're going to land. There's too many variables when they're coming back down from space into Earth. And they give you a zone that you're going to land in, but you don't get an exact location where you're going to land. And so they set up this stage of reporters at the exact location that we're going to land. Get the fuck out of here. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like I said, everything is zoned. So like, all right, they're landing in zone 1. We're in zone 1. But we're not sure. Could be closer to the Utah border or what you call a border. We're not sure where it's going to land. But they're going to land somewhere in here. Then they will watch them come out of the sky and go, there they are. And then they would track to see where they're going to land. They would head in that direction. To set up a stage with reporters to watch them come out of the sky and then be right there when they land was like the worst bullshit I've ever seen in my entire life. That was a crazy shit. So, and like if it had a propulsion system, then I could see it landing where they wanted to land. That would make sense. But there's too many variables when it comes back down. Again, curvature of the planet, rotation, wind, sun, the whole 9 yards. As they come back down, they just get a general area where they're going to land. They don't be like, they're going to land right here in this spot. So let's build the stage about a quarter mile away so that we can see them land here. Stupidest thing in the fucking world. And again, and everybody is that much stupider for watching that shit. Thank God I didn't watch it. My brain would be melted right the fuck now if I watched that stupidity. Stupid bunch of chicks in space talking about, we did it, we're astronauts. No, don't try to fucking displace the fact that all of you guys sucked a dick or two to get where you are. Now you want to go into space and call yourself astronauts so people stop calling you cocksucker. That's a fucking bull. It's called cocksuckers of America is what they are now. They're not astronauts. They're definitely not, but they want that title bestowed upon them because they got in a ship shaped like a dildo and some shit that they would cram in their vaginas, threw them into fucking space for all of 4 minutes so they can come back down and go, we were astronauts. The fuck you were. You were on your knees doing the fucking shady dance or the dick dance or the fucking penis mistletoe over your head, whatever the hell you want to call it. But that's what they did. They didn't do anything fucking glorious. They didn't save humanity. This isn't Armageddon with chicks. They didn't save the world. You know? These fucking chicks acting like they did some real shit. Fuck out of here. Fucking the whores of space. The clowns, yes, the clowns, the good clown girls from outer space. That's more like it. It's just the fact that the audacity to think that they're the real deal. That's the worst part about the whole thing. They think they're the real deal now. No, you're not. Go back to fucking, doing what you guys do best. Spend your husband's money and fucking, bang the pool boy, Enrique, right? And then hang out with your friends and get, fucking white girl wasted in the middle of the day, But yeah, that bull, and that was just and it served no purpose. It wasn't a rescue mission. It wasn't any of that shit, Thompson, I don't think it was a distraction because it was too lame to be a distraction. Listen, you can label anything a distraction, but it was too lame to be a distraction. It really was. It's the dumbest thing we ever seen. Fucking stupid. It was almost, it should have been like a scene out of Spaceballs, Bunch of chicks going, we did it. We came back. We kissed the ground. We are so proud of ourselves for going up for 4 minutes. Like, I would have taken that ride as it was. Just a ride to go up in space, float around for a little bit, get back in my seat, come down, and then wonder how come we didn't die because of all of the fucking things I named previously in the video that should have killed them. But it didn't. Why? Because they didn't go into space. They lied. That's why. Chicks are fucking riding up into space in a dildo-shaped rocket ship. What is that? If I have to, and Bezos had to look at it and go, my wife's in there, My wife's in that giant dildo in the sky. It's fucking silly, man. Meat curtains in space. ChatGPT can make a better video. I can make a better fucking video. I really could. Andy, yes, I did. Andy says, notice the Baphomet stickers. Well, it was a mission patch on their spacesuits. Yes, I did. Upside down. If you turn the mission patch upside down, like I told you guys before on the the midweek report, I talked about it. This past midweek report, I talked about their mission patch. If you turn it upside down, it looks like Baphomet, if I said that right. What was that? The deity, right? And it looks at least like the head, the top part of it. But yeah, it's all bullshit, man. We're all being lied to. So Modern also said, just like cops and firefighters, they all think they're the real deal. Cops and firefighters are the real deal. If you haven't gone down a fucking hallway on fire while the shit's about to light up on you, that's about as badass as it gets. And I'm not saying that because I'm a fireman. Just put yourself in that situation. Oh, you won't be able to. If you're a volley, you'll understand. But if you're not, you won't. That is one of the worst positions to be in. And we are actively putting ourselves in that position. Right, it was a more updated version, Never Ready. If I said that right? Yes, Raccoon Eyes. I could have sworn someone pointed that out years ago, that she was a Luciferian, right? That was like her wheelhouse. Dildo lost in space. Imagine if that thing would have got lost in space. Aliens would have watched it floating by going, is that a vibrator? Right? And then they go and get it, and then they find fucking 5, 6 women in there. Oh, look, we have female human species of women in here flying in a dildo lost in space. Let's get them and harvest their parts or whatever the fuck aliens do. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It really was. It was just a waste of time. And everybody who watched it was now more stupider for watching it. Yeah. Well, listen, Backdraft was a good movie, but Backdraft was, again, Backdraft was a thank you or a love letter to firefighters. That's why it was so grandiose, if you will, with the fire and the action, the explosion. Yes, shit like that does happen in fires, but it really does. Backdrafts, super rare. Not every fire we go into is a backdraft. You know, it don't work that way. Rollovers, flashovers, that happens as well, but that's also rare because of procedures on how we do things. You mean harvest their plastic parts? Yes, Johnny 308, harvesting their plastic parts. Watch the movie Capricorn 1. I was going to watch that movie, Rhonda. Prepper Revelator brought it up earlier today when we were talking. They would have sent them back. They probably would have. If the aliens would have captured them, they would have heard their complaining, their bickering, their bullshit. They'd be like, no, let's send these bitches back. And let's send them back in a proper shuttle that's not shaped like a vibrator. Like, that was just the worst fucking... Like, imagine you're looking at the schematics, you're looking at the drawing board, and you're like, man, that's the rocket ship I want. Meanwhile, when they unveiled it years ago, everybody's like, that looks like a vibrator. So sad. So dumb. Sad and dumb. But that's what it was. He went with it. He better redesign that fucking thing. I'm sorry. I'm not getting in a vibrator going into space. Because if you die in that shuttle, you're going to forever be known for the guy that died inside of a vibrator. You don't want that. You don't want that shit on you. Like, oh, he the way, you know how Prepper died? He died in a vibrator floating in space. You don't want that on you. You're going to feel like an asshole if that's how you die. They're going to make fun of you forever. Then you're going to be the dildo guy or the vibrator guy, and no one's going to, oh my God, they're going to write all over your tombstone, he died in a vibrator. You can't do that. You can't go out like that. Don't go out like that. Don't do that, man. It's bad. You know? It looks like the rocket ship from, yeah, it does. It would just suck to die, period. Imagine, and then you know what's even worse? Like, if you were the only guy on that mission with them, and you died with those women, you died with the most annoying women on the planet. And that's Gayle King, Basil's wife, and Katy Perry. Imagine dying with them. The last thing you want to do is die with people you do not like. Oh, gross. That is grotesque, my friend. But anyway, that being said, this one a lot longer than I thought. I am going to go off the air right now. I'm going to take my ass to sleep before I start rambling on about nothing, because I'm getting really close to it. Other than that, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to see you guys Tuesday for the doubleheader. Next Wednesday, I should have a midweek report. Sunday, I might do a Angry Prepper Fitness. We're going to talk about, I don't know, I'll find a subject to talk about, but there's a lot you can do to lose weight by the summertime, though it is April. You do have 2 months. Yeah, 2 months to get into some decent shape, and you can still get into decent shape in the next 2 months. Other than that, guys, thank you for joining me. I appreciate your support, your donation, you're watching my videos, dealing with my bullshit. And other than that, guys, good night.